Hey, everybody. My name is Ryan Shear, and I am here with Richard Shockley, and he is Public Works Director of Public Works. Let me get that right.
Sure. Good morning.
And we wanted to bring you on and kind of help educate everybody about how our Public Works Department works, all the way from the top to bottom. So tell us a little bit about what Public Works encompasses.
So Public Works encompasses water, sewer, and electric utilities, also streets, stormwater, and then we do fleet. We maintain all the city fleet out of Public Works.
All right. And so I met you a while back when we were going through Leadership Lebanon, and we took a tour of the water treatment plant and kind of spoke to you. And with the influx and what we hear the rumble with like electric and utility bills and what's going on, I wanted to bring you on and kind of help educate the public about how your process works.
Sure.
So let's start with just a quick breakdown of like roads.
Okay.
What do you guys look at and take care of the roads on the city level?
So we maintain all the city roads within the city boundaries. Outside of the MoDOT maintains Highway 5 or Jefferson, 64 and Highway 32, both east and west, and then of course I-44. The rest of the roads we have is city maintained.
Yeah, and just for a point of clarification, that those roads, you guys don't have anything to do with those roads. So
we don't. That's MoDOT. MoDOT.
Yeah, if there's a pothole on Jefferson or there's something on 64, that's a state thing.
That's a state.
Yeah.
State of Missouri thing.
I remember there was a little thing when the railroad tracks or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
People were, it was a state issue.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a city issue.
Yeah, we work. I mean, they're a true partner. We work with them
course.
greatly, and help them with as much as we can. But
but
their responsibility.
It just goes to a different department. All right, storm sewer, because you see the storm drains all over, so you guys maintain, take care of those.
Yep. We got pipes. That's conveyance and then storm drainage ways, and then we have detention ponds that are detaining stormwater to basically soften up the peak to release. We have all that in town. So,
all right, and how many gallons come through those stormwater drains?
Stormwater. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about millions during a rain event. We're measuring that in cubic feet per second.
Okay.
So Lebanon's kind of interesting. It's built on a plateau. And so we have, three major watersheds that the water run away from the city, which is a benefit. Some cities, have a major stream or river running through their community, which can be challenging.
Oh, yeah.
So we're somewhat blessed with being developed on a plateau.
Because especially in the Ozarks, because Mother Nature can't make its mind up. We'll get 7 inches of rain one day, it'll be in a drought, and next and forth. So being able to shed off in multiple areas kind of saves us from that. So let's go on to our city water then. Our potable water, city drinking water, city water, sewer.
So our city water comes from deep wells. Most of our wells are 1,400 to close to 2,000 foot deep. Most of our pumps are set at around that 700 to 850 feet down below. We have wells that are pumping 400 gallon a minute all the way up to 1,000 gallons a minute. And so one thing that most people don't think about on a water system, we design a water system here in the city to handle fire protection. Not just delivering water for our businesses or our drinking purposes, but for fire protection. So we have multiple water towers. We have about 3,000 gallons of water up in the air that's in storage, and that allows us to be able to cover about a day and then some, probably around 36 hours worth of usage. We use about 2.7 million gallons a day on average here in the city of Lebanon. But more importantly, that also gives us the capacity whenever we have a major fire going, that we have water to be able to deliver to the fire department.
And one of the neat things I learned when we went to the water treatment plant is, all the wastewater in their city flows into there, and how much testing does that water go through before it's sent out? That was amazing to me, actually, how much it went through.
So we do probably about 12.5 tests a week inside, and then we also send out to contract labs that are the more economical testing to go with a outside lab. But throughout the year, we're on probably doing somewhere around 6,000 to 7,000 tests on processes and also for compliance of our discharge permit to satisfy the state.
And where does that water discharge to? Where does the waste takes the process, takes the ride, gets cleaned up, gets discharged? Where's that going?
So it discharges out into the dry all glaze. The dry all glaze travels to the north and basically ends up after several miles in down by Lake the Ozarks, down around the Haltonka area.
Yeah.
That's where it ends up.
Okay. And you guys are very dedicated to safety, making sure that goes through.
Sure. Yeah.
And now I guess the bigger sticking point would be, on the electric and utility rates and the process. Seems to be a lot of people have questions about that. So that's why I asked you on here. I wanted to kind of talk about that. So explain to us here and there kind of where we get our power from and how that structure works, because I think there's a misnomer of where our power exactly comes from and sources. So let's break it down from the beginning. Where does our power come from?
Sure. So Lebanon is partnered with a 35 city pool of utilities within the state. And what we do is as a pool, we invest, we either buy into power generating facilities, or we have what they call PPAs. It'd be a power purchase agreement. Most of those power purchase agreements are going to be for, maybe 20 years or up to 30 years. And so we have power plants in Nebraska City. We have a couple power plants down in Arkansas, down around the Boo Hill area. We have a power plant just a little bit south and east of St. Louis over into Illinois. That's a coal plant that's right at the mouth of the mine. There's coal there in Illinois that's about 120 feet down underground. There's a coal seam that's about 15 foot height, and so we mine the coal there, and it goes right up to the power plant. We have power plants up in the Kansas City area, and then we also have several allocations of hydro on the Missouri River as well as the White River Basin, the dams on it.
So from all over, like there's
then we have some wind out in western Kansas also.
So in this group, they buy the power from those places, and as it influxes, comes in, it comes to the substations, it gets divided up through.
Yeah. We take delivery at 69,000 volts from Show Me Electric. They're our transmission provider, and then we drop it into our we have a transmission loop around the city, and then we also have substations that transform that 69,000 volts to 7,200 volts that we put out in our distribution system. And then, of course, once we get to our end customer, we drop that voltage down for their home at 240 volts, right?
Yeah.
Or a business at 460.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to inflection of rates and stuff like that, how do you buy it from the supplier versus then flip that to the customer?
So some of, like I said, we have ownership and then also a long time contracts on power delivery, but obviously we don't have 100% of our electricity needs covered for every day. Sometimes we may be sellers to the market because we have more electricity than we need as a group, and other times we have to buy off the market. And so electricity is not point A to point B. It's actually traded just like any commodity, like corn, orange juice, coffee, whatever, on the market. And so whenever we have these extreme weather events, obviously the market responds.
Yes, of course.
And so, there's times where we're really good in the market, and then there's other times where everybody gets a shot in the arm. For example, this past winter we had that extended cold spell that lasted, maybe 5 to 6 days, and we were buying power off the market because the market's subject, and we were paying about 3 to 3.5 times what we were selling it for. And so at that time, obviously, we cannot pass that kind of a shock onto our customer, and so we buffer that a little bit with with our rates and our reserves, and so we can spread that out, and so it's not such an impact on our customers. But yeah, it's a volatile market.
Yeah. So basically, when you have a big event like that, you have some savings that you help cover, so that's not passed.
Yeah.
Like the example I gave was, so my electric bill is $175, but through that cold snap, our heater never stops running, our stuff never stops running, so we got electric heat and all this. So instead of paying a $10,000 electric bill, you guys are subsidizing and doing some of that to where we're still at the same kilowatt hour, but of course we're using more because it's cold.
Sure.
So my bill raises by $50, $75 instead of $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct, and that's why we try to hold a 20 to 30% reserve in our utilities, and to obviously to be able to buffer those kind of events on the electric side, but also in case we have these damaging storms. You know, for example, we had a storm event in 2020, May of 2020, and that cost us almost $2 million to rebuild some of our system that was damaged from a straight line winds. It wasn't even identified as a tornado. So
yeah, because your infrastructure is volatile to those types of storms. Substation, straight line winds, tornadoes, forest fires, stuff like that. So you all that infrastructure, you guys have to have some money kept back to do that.
And the times are changing. It's not always. The federal government does not always acknowledge a disaster event. Right. And so that's a little bit of a wild card. Always before, when a disaster was declared, it pretty well got acknowledged and approved. And that's simply not the case.
Because the bureaucracy, I guess you'd call it there, is that the federal government has to say, hey, that was a thing for the funds to be released to offset the cost to the city and state.
That's correct.
And if they don't start that process by making an official declaration of that event, then it's on you.
It's all on us.
It's kind of like your insurance company denying a claim.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's all on us. So
okay. So we hear a lot about people with their increased rates, and we know it could be usage, but as far as you guys go, you guys try to keep it at about still at how do we monitor that kilowatt hour?
So we monitor for a normal residential customer and small customer. We're going to be monitoring the energy just at the kilowatt hour, and their demand is going to be buried into the kilowatt hour. For our larger customers, they're going to get charged a demand cost and an energy cost. The demand is really basically what is their peak. Yeah. If they have an energy peak or a usage peak, then they have to pay for that because basically we have to build our infrastructure to be able to handle those peaks, right? Otherwise, they have problems.
So recently, you guys in a public meeting voted on a rate increase, and I want to talk about rates real quick. When I did the research, national average is about 17 to 20 cents kilowatt hour. Yep. Missouri average is between 11 and 13 cents. So what are we paying here in Lebanon on a kilowatt hour?
So we'll just be right under 11 cents once this rate adjustment comes into effect. It's like going to be 0.1079, I believe is the number.
Okay.
So
okay, and what are the causes of those? I mean, other than cost of living, is there any other exterior factor other than just cost of living and life gets more expensive every year?
Well, yeah. So ever since COVID, we've on the utility side, and I know the customers and citizens out there have experienced this too. There does not seem to be a normal inflation rate on anything you buy. It's not the simple, hey, this went up 2 or 3%. For example, our power poles have gone up since 2020, 3 to 3.5 times. So I mean that's an incredible increase. We're seeing transformers and just component parts for all of our utilities that have gone up, 10 to 15% annually. And we keep on thinking at some point this is going to normalize. So a lot of our cost is not necessarily tied to the energy as much as our cost to deliver that utility, whether it be water or electricity or processing that wastewater, and what I call infrastructure costs.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to get back to, is not just about electric, but your water, your storm drainage, your roads, your everything.
Yeah.
You guys don't manifest this in a warehouse. You have to order it from somewhere, and they have costs. And we know how economics work, that those costs go down the road. That's the same reason tomatoes get more expensive.
Sure.
And I think it's easy to yell when things get more expensive, but it kind of is a thing that is a consequence of everybody as it goes through.
Sure.
I know that in when we were setting up the studio, there was an event that products I ordered 2 weeks before was almost twice as much the next week.
Oh yeah,
right. And you have, you're right. The rates are not normal, so therefore we're going to have influxes. But what is it? And we've kind of already covered it, but just as a summary. So you guys, just for all energy rates, whether it be infrastructure, roads, all the things that you cover, you guys are really trying to balance. You guys are really trying to balance the cost you're passing on to the people versus.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I always feel like Public Works' responsibility is to maintain the roads, have a utility infrastructure in place that makes our community competitive and a great place to live. And so for our citizens as well as our business community. And so it's our responsibility to be able to balance reliability with cost.
Right.
And our customers have grown accustomed to having a high reliable utility. In fact, we're on May 20th, we're receiving an award from APPA, which is a national public power association for reliability. We're the top 25% in the nation for reliability. And we've received that award for several years, and we take that seriously. We want to deliver a good product to our customers.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to leave the public with before you wrap up?
I don't think so. I think that what I would like to say is we are a hometown utility. There's power with that we hear your voices whenever you have a question, whenever you have a concern or a complaint, an outage. We're going to respond. You're not calling a call center somewhere off in some other country or sending your bill to some other state. You know where we're at. We live in the same community you do, and I think that has value.
I do too. And what I would ask the public to do is call them. Call them, communicate with them.
Absolutely.
A lot of people will go to social medias or their friends and say, I hate this or that, but call them. Get the answers that you need.
Absolutely.
Communicate with them. Talk to them. They're very open. They've never denied one of my calls. So if you have questions about what these fees are, what this is, what that is, I encourage you to reach out, call them, get a hold of them, get the answers for yourself, and don't rely on.
No, we want to be a good partner.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You bet.
And I hope that helped. If you guys have any questions, comments, put them down below. Also, be respectful in the comments. First and foremost, we want this to be educational, so maybe we understand the world we live in better, how our power structure, water, roads, and who's responsible for doing those things. So we want to bring this to you to let you guys have all the pertinent information when you guys are asking questions, making decisions. So thank you once again for coming on.
Thanks a lot.